Hey, and welcome back to the Emotionally Intelligent Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Pinto, and today's episode is extra special because recently we celebrated 2 years anniversary of the podcast. So we turned 2, woohoo! And to mark the occasion, I did a huge giveaway, and one of the prizes that we offered was for some lucky parents to submit real-life questions to me to unpack right here on the podcast. So today's question is one that I received. It's very powerful, I think. It's layered. To be honest, it's emotional. No surprises. And honestly, I think it's something that so many parents go through, but quietly, and they wonder and worry about. And there's confusion, right? What do I do? What do I say? How can we help our child with this? So I'm really excited to kind of unravel it today. I want to offer like a new emotionally intelligent kind of way of seeing these challenges. So maybe just seeing things in a different light. And I think often, very often, that really helps parents know how to make decisions for them to then move forward and take action. So I'm going to read out the parent's question in a moment, and then we're going to walk through it together. I want to bring some compassion. I want to make it practical. And of course, a whole lot of emotional intelligence. I have written notes. So if you are watching this on YouTube, then you're going to see me looking down because I wanted to actually give this like a really deep level of understanding and insight, and like I said, make it practical. I wanted this to actually be really helpful, not just for the parent who wrote in, but for all of you too. So anyway, I've got my notes and now I feel prepared. I'll probably still forget stuff. There's so much I can go into, but yeah, here we go. Okay. Firstly, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. I don't know the family personally, so everything I'm sharing here is general guidance, and it's from an emotional intelligence perspective. So there will be parts about the family and the child and just the context that I don't know. So I'm going to do my best anyway. All right, also before we begin, I want to acknowledge the Darug Nation. They are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, work, and record this podcast. I pay my respects to all First Nations people, their elders and ancestors, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Okay, guys, here is the situation, and here's the letter that was written in. Okay, so it's from a mum who we'll call Robin. She says, I have an 8-year-old son. Let's call him Benedict. He's bright, sensitive, empathic, and academically strong. And he's now writing his first graded tests in school. And although learning itself comes easily to him, 2 things have become really challenging for us as parents. So number 1, here's emotional stress around tests. At school, he seems calm and collected, but at home we see a big shift in his behaviour. He becomes moody, reactive, lashes out at his younger brother, and he's very hard on himself. He fixates on the idea that he must get an A. He worries he hasn't studied enough, even when clearly he has. On test days, he's relaxed and performs well, but the days leading up to the tests are becoming quite difficult for all of us. Oh man, I can so feel this. Okay, number 2, she says his experience with bullying in class. Recently, he's been bullied because of his good grades. He's been called the teacher's pet, teased when he doesn't get a perfect score, and told us his classmates are taking his things like folders and stepping on them. When I asked whether I should call his teacher, he suddenly said he made it all up, which leaves me unsure what's real and what's him trying to protect himself. He also says that he has no friends in his class anymore and cried about this, which is really heartbreaking to watch. As a complicating factor, I was bullied myself in middle school. These stories and behaviours trigger me, and I sometimes struggle to stay grounded and calm for him. I want to be a safe place for him, not someone who adds pressure or reacts from my own past. Oh my gosh, this mom is super insightful. I love it. Okay, my questions would be, how can we support Benedict emotionally during test periods and help him manage his stress without accidentally adding pressure, especially while navigating his sudden mood swings at home? And then she says, how should we respond when he tells us stories of being bullied but then retracts them? How do we support him, take it seriously, and work with the school without pushing him or making him feel exposed? Robin. Okay, gosh, like I said, I have so much to say. Okay, so I've ordered my thoughts and my ideas and suggestions. First one is the emotional intelligence lens. So this is often the deeper layer that most parents miss. I don't know if this parent misses it though. She sounds really on point, like her brain is switched on and she gets this stuff. So hopefully this brings some maybe new insights or some things she hasn't considered. Okay, so we do know that kids will often hold it together at school and fall apart at home because home is where their nervous system feels safe enough to release. Sensitive and sometimes high-achieving kids can confuse performance with identity. So the stress may not really be about the test. It's about like, who am I if I don't get an A? When a child shares something that is confronting and then retracts it, that usually signals a sense of shame or maybe fear of making things worse rather than dishonesty. Okay. And the goal is always emotional safety first and then solutions second, if that makes sense. So emotional safety first, and we can talk about that, and then working on solutions or problem solving. Her own past experiences being triggered is not a failure. It's simply a signal to slow down so that her responses come from more calm rather than fear. Second thing I want to say is that supporting test stress without adding pressure is definitely like 100% doable. If you can, now I feel like I'm talking to the parent, if you can shift your focus from results to capacity or effort, things like saying, okay, tests show what your brain is ready to share today. It's not about who you are. You can name the pattern for him. So something like, it seems like the days before the test feel really heavy for you, but you're always calm on the day. Also, creating a consistent pre-test ritual can be so helpful. Something small, predictable, and regulating so that he feels more in control. Always validate the fear behind the perfectionism instead of brushing it off. I'm sure she's already doing lots of this. Instead of brushing it off, validating that fear, it makes sense that you'd feel worried about doing well, and that's a big feeling. So that in itself can be really calming and regulating, because then our child feels like we get it and we're on their team. Lastly, you can help separate that identity from performance. So getting an A doesn't say anything about his worth, okay? Third thing I want to say is that helping him manage mood swings at home can be, it's tough to navigate sometimes. It pulls on our heartstrings, but again, it's something that's totally within our capacity if we have the tools and the ability, and just work through that like messy middle ourselves. So you can see his reactivity maybe as a stress signal rather than any kind of disrespect or defiance. So getting that right lens or perspective on first. And you can gently externalize what he's feeling. So, whoa, it looks like stress is visiting us today. Something like that. It kind of allows him to feel understood rather than blamed. And you still get to hold your boundaries. You can do it calmly. So I get that you're feeling really overwhelmed, but you're not allowed to hurt your brother. So I always talk about that we can allow any and all emotions, but not any and all behavior. Obviously, nothing that is dangerous or hurtful or inappropriate. We're allowed to have boundaries there, okay? Kids who usually excel don't get a lot of practice at tolerating discomfort. I wonder what people think about this. Kids who often excel and they do really well, or they're really smart, they might not get practice and opportunities to tolerate discomfort or disappointment. So this is actually a really important emotional skill building moment. It's just hard. It's tricky, right? So remember also that he will be borrowing your nervous system because you're his mum and dad too. He's going to borrow your nervous system, as in your calm is one of the biggest supports that you can offer him. Okay, let's go on to, this is my point number 4, when he shares about bullying stories and then retracts them, what is happening and what can we do? So I would always say, assume the first version is emotionally true, even if the details shift later. Retracting them or saying, oh, I didn't mean, oh, I was just joking, or I made it up. Retracting is often a coping strategy when kids either fear adults stepping in too strongly or making them stand out socially. And that stuff is that's very, very natural. I think natural for a lot of us to have that worry or concern. So if you can respond neutrally and supportively, that's going to be the best thing. Thanks for telling me. I'm really glad you came to me about this. You can definitely avoid pressing for consistency or checking, because that can shut kids down. and maybe just letting him guide the pace. Do you want some help from school, or would you prefer that I just listen for now? What do you feel? So there's still things we can do, even if we're not sure whether the story was true or not, and if we can go and take it further or not. Okay, number 5, working with the school while protecting his sense of safety is going to be an important balance, I think. You can remind him that your role is to keep him safe, not to expose him. But you're still able to potentially talk to the teacher without naming him, saying something like, I'm noticing some tricky dynamics here. Could you keep an eye out for this? Or have you noticed that? I always say it's great to get teachers on side in the way that like you want to be on their team and help them out and the kids, not add extra work for them, or like they're already overloaded and underpaid, let's face it. So how can we support the teacher and our child without making it hard for either of them, basically? So you can also offer some small choices so that he feels some sense of control. Should I send an email or should I wait until next week? So kind of bringing your child into that collaborative process. And lastly, celebrate tiny social wins, not just the hard moments. So it could be little things that he does or that he reports to you about during his day. Those things matter too, not just the big boulders, I want to say. Okay, last point, number 6, is supporting yourself so that you can support him. This kind of goes without saying, but we forget this stuff because we're busy and we have life and work and responsibilities and everything. Okay, so I want to say, and this probably goes for everyone, actually me included, notice when your reaction kind of belongs to past you rather than present him. Use some kind of maybe a grounding or affirming phrase like, this is his story, not mine. So we want to have that like separation so that we can be that calm, compassionate, loving, strong person for our child rather than bringing out our own stories or past hurts into it. And if you do react, because hello, we're human, like we're going to do that. If you react, repair is your best friend. It is so powerful. I think I responded from my old memories again. Hang on, let me try that again. And if your child says, what do you mean old memory? Well, then you can explain in the best way, like fumble through it. I think sometimes kids have the capacity to understand a little bit more than we give them credit for. And if we share it with love and like a curiosity, then that's helpful, right? It's not putting it on to anyone else. Okay, so that was a lot. I wanted to kind of go through methodically and put all my thoughts down, and I hope some of those pieces of information or those awarenesses or insights kind of helped with a lot of you, even if you have different struggles or challenges with your kids. I wanted this to kind of give people tools as well as a fresh lens, okay? The kind of lens that helps you see your child's behavior through connection rather than like correcting, getting the right answer, doing the right thing, ticking the right box. Like it's not really how relationships go, even though we would like them to sometimes. Okay, I want to say to Robin, thank you. This is a parent who submitted the question. Thank you for trusting me. If you're listening and you have a question of your own that you want to send through to me, please do that. You can email it to us at hello@stephaniepinto.com. Keep an eye out because I might do more of these listener questions because I think they're really helpful for everyone. I really, really like them. If you loved this episode and you found this beneficial, I have a couple of things I want to invite you to do. Number 1 is to share it. It would mean the world if you can take a moment to either follow the show, share it, or leave a review, something like that. You can just go onto wherever you're listening and do it quickly there. But also, if you want to dive a bit deeper, I have online courses, like self-paced courses where you watch videos and you take notes or you do the mini exercises and resources. They are at stephaniepinto.com/courses, and they're all around different areas of raising kids with emotional intelligence, neurodivergent kids, or kids with anxiety, or just the typical, how do I get my kids to listen and like follow the routine and get into bed on time and stuff like that. And obviously about our own emotional intelligence and stress and triggers. So there's heaps there. I think there's like, I don't know, is there 6, 7, 8 courses? There's a few and I'm building them all the time. So go and have a look at those. That's my kind of invitation to you. All right. Well, thank you for celebrating 2 whole years with me. And congratulations again to Robin and the other listeners who won a prize. I really appreciate every single one of you because without you guys, I'm just talking into my mic and staring at my laptop screen. and enjoying talking about emotional intelligence. So thank you for listening. All right, take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.